Everyone, thank you so much for joining me here today for yet another Second Life lifestyle video on something that I find interesting or helpful in some type of way. For those that don't know me, my name is Sandra, and I try to cover all things SL from shopping to decor to anything in between. And today I am going to be talking about yet again a club that is not around anymore in SL. And I just like talking about these things because I think it has a lot to do with the state of Second Life today as we speak, because I think there was a lot of things that worked about clubs that are not around anymore. The reason they're not around anymore many times has nothing to do with traffic or things like that. It just has to do with maybe the sim owner wants to stop doing the club thing, or maybe they're not getting enough donations to pay for the sim or what have you. There's a lot of reasons why clubs are not around anymore. But yeah, I wanted to talk to you today about Lust House and why it worked, why it didn't work. And yeah, I have some information about it. I'm going to be talking about some things that went right, some things that went wrong with that particular club. All these things are just based on my own opinion. Nobody in the club gave me any type of insider information. And I want to keep these type of things kind of light, if you will, because the thing is, I really don't know why the club succeeded or failed. But I do have my own opinions because I used to hang out there. Yeah, and so that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, you guys. So here I am outside of the beautiful sim of Crackden, one of my favorite sims in SL. It's really fantastic. If you haven't been here, you totally need to come here and check it out. And I just thought it would be a great place to show you this outfit I'm wearing right now. This is an outfit from the Lewd event for the January session here. And this outfit is from Cry Bon Bon, one of my favorite stores. Oh, I'm having some alpha glitching there around the hair, but you know, whatever. We all could tell what it looks like. Yeah. The hair is actually from Centiglia, also from the Lewd event. And let me see, what else am I wearing here? Let's go through it here. Okay, so part of the outfit with Cry Bon Bon is it comes with this jersey. I could not wear what they have going underneath the jersey because it's a little bit lewd, if you will, just like the Lewd event. And yeah, it comes with these shoes, these tennis shoes. I've mentioned before that everything from Cry Bon Bon is mod. So I really like buying from, oh, the bench got in the way there. But I like buying from Cry Bon Bon because you can mod everything. And that's so helpful to me to making things a certain color if I want to go with a certain color scheme that's not on the HUD. So really helpful. And I like that the tennis shoes are two different colors with the socks. I just love that. Yeah, really up my alley. I love stuff like that. And look at the detail on the jersey, how it has the little whatever, that pattern that jerseys have. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, really cute. It's open in the back, but yeah. And then, by the way, I didn't realize I had so many things on from the Lewd event. This tattoo is from This Is Wrong, also from Lewd event. Yeah, really cute. It's kind of like a kiwi type thing. Yeah, kawaii, kawaii. But it's cute, really cute. I like it. Actually, you know, I really like This Is Wrong tattoos. I need to buy more tattoos. Yeah. And then, like I said, the hair, I know it's alpha glitching a little bit, but it's because of the background there. Um, the hair's from Centiglia. And I like it a lot more than I thought I would. I wasn't sold on it. I tried it on and I was like, eh. But then I like started looking at it and I'm like, no, 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 I like it. I like it. It's cute. And it comes with several ways you could wear the bangs. Yeah. So anyway, you guys, yeah, and I'm just here outside Crackdown. Let me pull back for a second just so we could check it out. I'm just in the town here, and I'm by the beautiful dry cleaners. Yeah. So Crackdown. I'm not going back too far because I don't have my draw distance on terribly far, but here, I just want to show you kind of where I'm at. It's not going to res everything because I have the draw distance on a little bit lesser. Yeah. So sorry about that, you guys, but there's a lot of detail in Crackdown that's really great. Let me, yeah, no, I can't pull back that far. Okay. Anyway, you guys, really love Crackdown. If your computer can handle it, come here, check it out, and you could drive around town. You're allowed to res your car and stuff. We did that last night. It was really fun. I love it. Yeah, so yeah, and it's meant to look kind of dingy, kind of ghetto. I really like it a lot. Okay, you guys, let me take a seat here and let's get started on the subject matter that we are here for to discuss. I'm gonna need to adjust her really quick. Just get her to sit down. No, not that, not that. Let me just get her to sit down a little bit lower. There we go. Okay, cute. Cute. All right, so you guys, Lust House. Let's go ahead and talk about this. I do have some notes that I'm going to be looking at just so I could kind of stay on track. But like I said, this isn't meant to be a journalistic award-winning type talk. I just kind of wanted to talk about it because, to be honest, I do miss Lust House. I do. I missed the type of club it was, and we're going to go through it here. So let me take a look at my notes here. So just a little bit of information on Lust House. So the original Lust House was commonly referred to as the original Lust House or Monica's Lust House. YouTube is going to love me saying this because that's like a buzzword they don't like to kind of ding your photo and not get a lot of views. But I'm not monetized anyway, so I really don't care. Anyway, the original club was gone by about mid 2019. Monica was the owner. She did pass away. And after that, an individual named Zoe is said to have taken over Lust House. I like how the notes I have say it is said she took over. Zoe did, in fact, take over Lust House. I know she did. All right. So anyway, let's go ahead and get a little deeper into this. And yeah, we're just going to talk about it. All right. So by the way, I wish I had more photos, you guys. It was really difficult for me to find photos of the club. I know I have some myself, but I have so many photos of Second Life that I just couldn't locate them. And then I was looking on Flickr for them. I couldn't locate any that were not, I need to be able to show them on YouTube, if you get what I'm saying. So anyway. Beyond that, so what happened with Zoe is, I don't know a lot about her personally. I did meet her a couple times. That's all I could say. So over time, she started making some improvements, quote unquote, improvements to the club. These improvements were not made to be bad intentions. They were attempts, so it seemed, to update and improve things. The biggest noticeable change was the change to the build. Now, this is something that was met with a lot of contention by people who frequented the club. So we're going to get into that. I have a lot of notes here, so I just want to make sure I touched on a couple things. So one of the issues was that the builds, plural builds, were changed more than one time. They were changed many times. I want to say, I didn't keep count of them, but I want to say the builds changed about 7 times, if I'm not mistaken. So each rebuild, in my own estimation, moved the club further away from what it originally felt like. The changes were noticeable to the quote unquote old timers who had been coming there for sometimes 15 plus years, you guys. It was crazy how long they have been coming to this club. I don't know how long the club has been there. I say 15 plus years lightly, but what I am saying is that these were serious people. They were serious about this club, they were serious about what it stood for, and they were serious about engagement. Now, I've been using that word a lot on YouTube. You know what I mean by engagement. Y'all know what I mean. So this was not a sudden shift in the club atmosphere. It was gradual, but you definitely noticed a lot of these so-called old timers had stopped coming. Now, what do I mean by old timers? What do I mean? Let me explain. All I mean is that these were people that were established residents in Second Life. They knew and understood the concepts, and they were there to engage, seriously engage. So what this meant as far as the club concepts is that when you came walking into the club, you saw people engaging 100% of the time. So that's all I'm saying. Okay, there wasn't a lot of downtime in Lust House from what I saw. Okay, so let's talk about what the club was. So the club Lust House started out as a large build. Because I can't find any photos of it for those who may not be aware or have never been there, I'm just going to kind of explain what I saw from my own vision. So the club started out as a large build with a large, it was like a large space. It had some private areas in the little corners of the club. When you walked in, there was a bar area, there was one stripper pole. I'm talking about the original build, you guys. I know that there was a lot of changes over time, but I'm talking about the original one. The club was kind of dark and moody. It had those red walls and dark furniture that we all kind of equate to an adult type place. And the further you went into the club, you had several pieces of furniture that could take more than one person, sometimes 5+ people, sometimes 10+ people. The larger pieces of furniture were centered in the middle of the room for visual purposes. And in general, there were several bars off to the side that all had adult poses. You could stand back over by the bar area if you didn't want to go deeper into the club. And there were more, like I said, there were spaces off to the side if you wanted to go that route for more privacy. And the makeup of the club, in my opinion, was made in a way where you could observe and never engage, or you could engage and be watched. So there you go. So now we have the basic consensus of the club. Because the club was set up like this, it encouraged people to hang out for longer periods of time. And when you got people hanging out for longer periods of time, I think it did encourage people to kind of chat more, because they were just there more and hanging out for longer periods of time. It just kind of worked out that way. I don't know if it was, if that all, I think it's impossible to plan stuff like that out on purpose to happen like that, but that is, in essence, what ended up being the end result. And I will say that because this is one of the first clubs I started hanging out at in SL, it did kind of shape what I thought and what I felt that club rules should be like, what worked and what didn't work. So, what do I mean by that? And again, this has to do with clubs as far as today versus that club, Lust House, that's not here anymore. Um, this is something I talk about a lot with my friends and inner group of people. Um, at Lust House, there was not any strong, set in stone rules or regulations for how you could dress or not dress, how you had to look. I remember that there were fairies coming in, there were humans, and everything in between. No mods where they're getting on you about the way you looked or the way you dressed. Nobody was getting on you about having things on like fantasy ears. And what I mean is elf ears, pixie ears, having wings, not having wings. Nobody was there watching or being watched for engagement purposes. I'm going to get more into that in a minute. In this particular club atmosphere, it was very much like engagement was taken seriously. And it was a unique experience in that everyone was respectful. I never had any major issues there at all. And I did end up, just in general, I ended up learning a lot about how avatars look, where to get certain items from, and things like that, because people were allowed to look the way they wanted to look. And it was a place to go, hang out, chat, see others, and be seen. It was always crowded. It always had heavy traffic as far as my experiences with it. And people were just there a lot, unlike a lot of clubs today. Because for clubs these days, I think there's a little bit of a struggle in keeping the traffic up. So now that could have to do with like society changing, times changing, stuff like that. And I also am a firm believer it also has a lot to do with the way the clubs are managed, which is a whole other ball of wax, which maybe I could get into that one day. I'm going to touch on it a little bit in this video, but anyway. So let's talk about the old timers for a moment. Now, these are just people I label as people who have been around SL a long time. They understand the way things work. They understand the concept and the theme of clubs, and they're just there to get into it. And, a lot of times that is what's missing at clubs. And I know this is a hard thing to like control. You can't make this happen, I don't think. But these are people that literally cared about the club. They cared about the theme. They cared about continuing with the theme and making sure it continued on. You could take that for what it is, but that's hard to get these days. It really is, because you have people that are fleetingly coming into clubs and like are kind of passing through or seeing what's going on or not sure, or they're just not willing to kind of, sink their teeth into it, so to speak. Anyway, you can take or leave anything I'm saying. I'm just giving you things from my own perspective, you guys. I don't think I'm that far off, though. I think I'm on to something here. I really do. So let me see. And because of these people that I'm labeling as the old timers, the ones that really had a grip on the concept of the club, it brought more traffic into the club, which is interesting thing. It made the sim what it is. It made the club what it is. Those are the people that kept that club going. They really are. So it's kind of like if you lost those people, those important people, if those people stopped coming, then you lost the club. You just lost it. And that's exactly what happened. And we're going to talk about it, but that's exactly what happened. That's why the club did not succeed. That's why the sim did not succeed. But let's talk about Zoe for a moment. Again, from my own perspective, allegedly. Okay, what happened? So I'm going to go back and talk about some situations and some instances, and you could judge for yourself on what happened, but it's up to the individual to come up with these conclusions. So at one point, after going to the club for, I would say, a couple years, the club always had, like I said, a large amount of traffic, a large amount of people willing to engage, and then it was taken over by the new person who was this Zoe person. Because somebody needs to manage the club or what have you, somebody had to take it over. I mean, it can't run itself. And as it goes, a lot of times when somebody new takes over, many new things start changing. So at first, the changes were subtle enough. Like I said, just little pieces of furniture being replaced or moved or what have you. This is me personally, but I noticed a lot of the areas that were not in the middle of the club viewable as soon as you walked in. A lot of those little dark areas you could kind of sneak into, those started disappearing, in my opinion. So that was kind of an issue that affected some people. And it seemed as though the club was trying to make it into something else, something that was more visually open. Like there was no dark little corners you could sneak into anymore, no private areas. So, whatever. It is what it is. So, and that classic tacky red wall, dark furniture thing, moody look, it was starting to kind of go away, so there's that. You could take any of this information the way you want. I'm just saying what I noticed. The red walls and dark moody stuff might have been tacky, but the thing is it worked, So I started noticing different things happening with the lighting set up, like the lights were a little bit brighter. And then what turned out to be the downfall of the club is that the original build for Lust House was suddenly gone. It disappeared. And a new original build was put in its place. A 100% new building was put there. And it was the bipolar opposite of the original dark, moody, dark build. This new build was on a new landmark. It was bright, it was huge, it was new, it was white, it had a lot of windows. Everything was the adult furniture was just very up in the open. There was no such thing as sneaking off somewhere. It seems like a lot of the furniture was promoting 6 to 10 plus people being on it at one time. There just was a lot of people not feeling that, they just seemed to not like it. I went there myself to the club. I saw what was going on, and I just felt in general kind of uncomfortable because suddenly that moody type vibe was just gone. The private areas were gone. There was no areas to chill out at. You were just kind of wandering around these huge rooms, not knowing quite what to do with yourself. And I think people just did not grasp onto the concept of the new build, as I did not. After that, the build and the landmark changed a couple more times. I want to say it changed after that uh, 3 or 4 times, maybe more. I don't know. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't keeping count, but it did change a lot. Each time the build changed, the landmark changed. People were dropping off like flies. They were just not coming back. The old timers were like, they stopped coming, they weren't feeling it. From what I noticed, um, they just stopped coming, that's unfortunate, you know. And I think the constant changing of the landmarks and the builds were confusing, and people didn't feel comfortable with the layouts in general. And slowly but surely, people just stopped coming. Particularly, there were too many changes taking place too fast. It was even, I remember even at one time, at one point, it was difficult to keep track of what landmark was working and which one wasn't, because the landmarks were changing so fast, so often. It was then at one point during the process of one of the changes taking place, it's difficult for me to know when. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't writing down like when they all happened. There's no historical record for me to look back on. I'm just telling you what I remember. Is at one point, one of the builds looked similar to the original one. Color wise, lighting wise, it just looked somewhat familiar to what people remembered. But at that point, people had already been dropping out. They weren't coming, and they weren't wanting to use the builds. They weren't coming to the club. It's like the landmarks had changed too many times. So it never really caught on, just because just too many things had changed. So there was that. Hold on, you guys. I'm trying to look at my notes. I'm trying to keep up with what I'm saying here, because I'm kind of going off on my own tangents. So it makes it more difficult. All right. So let me see. So then I just want to say, as a side note, there was a lot of emphasis put on there was a lot of emphasis starting to be put on parties. Parties were starting to be organized, and there was DJs, there was dancing taking place. And I cannot tell you how much this concept did not fit into the original concept. There had never been these type of DJ dancing type parties at the original Monica's Lust House. But now you had these parties taking place, and there was dancing in the middle of the club, and the odds of people going to the side and engaging when there's people dancing to this, kind of 70s, 80s type music, it was just not happening. It was just not meshing. It just didn't work. And so that was the state of the current, well, it was the state of one of the builds. Yeah. And that concept stayed for a while. There were some people that would go, but for myself, as soon as I would like TP in and see that there was a dance taking place, and some of the dances were just kind of like goofy. So I would just TP out. Like, I wouldn't even stay, because it just wasn't my thing. So let's go back and talk about the last build. What was it? Why it didn't work? And why I feel that this last build, this last attempt, was the final nail in the coffin. So let's talk about the club's legacy, if you will. Again, this last build was extremely similar to the original Monica Lust House club. It had a bar area when you first walked in, and if you walked further into the club, you had an area that had furniture that you could use or not use. And, but let me tell you where things went wrong with this last build, this last attempt. Um, so remember, the landmarks had changed multiple times. The builds have changed multiple times. The concepts have changed multiple times. And, but this last build, they still had a DJ coming and playing music. I just, I don't know. It just wasn't working. That's all I could say. Sometimes I can't say why it wasn't working, but it just wasn't working. And even though the place did look like the original club, it looked very similar, but you still had the DJ there, playing kind of like an odd mix of music. And because the DJ was there playing, when people came and TP'd in, they weren't quote unquote engaging. Again, remember what I mean by engaging. So nobody was jumping on the furniture and using it. And so the people that ran the club were trying to encourage people to use the furniture, to get back to that old concept, that old vibe. And so what they did was, again, this is my own opinion on it, but I think I am right, that they had some of their friends come to the club and start using the furniture, engaging on the furniture to try to implore other people to do the same. And it just wasn't working because you had the DJ there, you had people coming to listen to the DJ, then you had people on the adult furniture trying to use it, and people would come in and they were just like, WTF, that type of vibe. So that's what was happening. And so you had that going on. And then, the thing is, I'm not judging anyone. I'm just trying to explain what was happening. And then something I did notice that happened a lot. And I think it was because the concept of the club had changed because you had the DJ there. They were coming to listen to the DJ music, so they would come in dressed what I would call modestly. And when you had them coming in dressed modestly, it's because they were coming in to listen to the DJ, kind of hang out. But then the people that used to come to the club scantily clothed, had stopped dressing like that. So, like I said, the vibe of the club had just changed. It's kind of like if you tried to come in half dressed like they used to come in dressed like, for the original club, people would have looked at you like you were weird because there were some people that were literally coming just to like listen to the music. And I don't know if they understood the type of club it used to be. A lot of clubs in Second Life are labeled as adult clubs, but they're not in their mind thinking, oh, it's adult like the original club that I'm referring to. They're like, oh, there's going to be people engaging. They're not thinking that. They're just like, oh, it's an adult club. Okay. So in the realm of a adult rated club, you have many levels of what people view adult clubs as. Yeah. So anyway, there was that going on. And, so, there still was the thing where they weren't judging people on the way that they dressed. You could come in dressed as a furry, you could come dressed as looking modest, you could come wearing hardly anything. It wasn't that there was that going on. So, but I do appreciate the fact that you were not getting kicked out of the club for the way that you were dressed. I really do appreciate that. But it's just that the concept of the club was not clear anymore because it had changed so many times. And something that I think is worth mentioning here is that there's a club specifically that I'm thinking of here. I'm not going to name it, but I know what it is, and a lot of people know what it is. And it's a club where they try to encourage people to engage a lot, like a real lot. And I remember when that club first opened, and people were allowed to go there. And again, dressed however they wanted. They could dress like a furry, they could dress, they could come in with like wings on or not, or what have you. It just didn't matter. You could just go and hang out and do your thing and, check out other people. It was very much concept wise that it was the type of club that I kind of, it wasn't like Lust House, but it was similar enough in that they just let people kind of hang out there, do their thing. There was a lot of people that would go. There was a lot of people that were interested in just hanging out somewhere. I think there's a lack of clubs you could kind of hang out at anymore in Second Life. And so anyway, this club, this other club, they used to let you wear whatever you wanted, do whatever you wanted. And then what happened was, I think the owner was like, hey, we need to encourage people to engage a lot more. I think they noticed that as clubs stayed in existence in SL, that people would slowly but surely stop engaging. So what did this club do? They put Well, one of the things they did is that they put a scanner that would scan you immediately when you come into the club. And if you are wearing anything at all that the scanner does not like, it bounces you, it kicks you off the sim. So, like last time I was there, for example, I've been kicked off of that sim so many times for what I'm wearing, and then it penalizes you and it won't let you on for so many hours or so many days. I don't know. But I always wear like a dead boy tongue. I just like it. I mean, it's part of my look. I wear it all the time. It kicked me off for wearing the tongue. And then usually more times than not, I wear dead boy teeth just because I like it. I just like it. And it kicked me off for that. And then it kicked me off for this other thing that I was wearing one time, a body part. It didn't like that it labeled as fantasy. And then another time, like it was closer to Halloween, I try to tone it down when I go to that club because I know that they have the scanner. But another time, they scanned me and they didn't like that I had a witch hat on. And I was like, damn it, and it kicked me out. And when it kicks you out, you can't use the club anymore. And this is the same club that when you do get into the club, if you could get past the fucking scanner, once you get into the club, you are scored on how often you engage. Now, I'm being serious. For those that don't know, that is what you're getting scored on, is how often you engage. So if you don't engage often enough, you get kicked out of this club, which I think is crazy. And that's a whole other story in itself. But my main point, what is my point here? My point is that this other club I'm talking about that is still in existence now, the one that scores you, the one that scans you and kicks you out if you're wearing the dead boy tongue, which I find stupid, by the way. And that club used to be very easygoing. It used to just kind of like let you come in. There was a lot of people wearing interesting stuff, and it let you kind of like watch or check people out or engage if you felt like it or not or what have you. And it was just kind of a cool club for that reason to hang out at. But because they started this enforcing the score system and the scanner that kicks you out immediately if you don't wear exactly what they feel you should be wearing or look a certain way, Um, it's made it a club that's not really fun to be at anymore. It's just because there's so many rules. So anyway, you guys, I just wanted to talk about that. It makes me feel better to talk about it. So you guys have to listen to me. So I just thought, that's just my own opinion on the other club, which I know is not Lust House, but I am making the point that I miss the way Lust House was set up. I missed the concept. I missed that they were easier going. And I think the fact that they were easier going encouraged some of the old timers, the people that I'm labeling as old timers, that would engage more. It encouraged that. I don't necessarily think that a score system is the way to go, or a way that we should be going, or even something that should be in existence. But this is our state of affairs right now, and I miss it. I miss the concept. And yeah. So anyway, you guys, yeah, I think it's unfortunate that the club went down, and these things happen, but yeah, that's the purpose of these types of videos, is that I just want to kind of talk about things that are not in existence anymore. And I really think it would be great if some sort of sim owner or something made a club in a similar concept, just to see if it could catch on, based on what it used to be. It could be that the SL Society has changed too much, that it can't keep that type of theme, that type of concept going. But I do think it's worth saying that it was a place where people would hang out at, and it provided a lot of traffic going through that sim. And I think it would be great if somebody would create something with a similar type vibe. But that's just me. Yeah, so you guys, if you have anything to say about it or whatever, you could say it in the comment section down below. And if you have any new clubs or places that you want to put down below, go ahead and do it. Let others know about it. A lot of times it's hard to know about every place that's being created. And a lot of times there's not enough promotion done for the Sims and the clubs, and nobody really knows about them before they're gone. Yeah. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for joining me here today on the Cracked In Sim. And yeah, again, outfit from Cry Bon Bon Lewd event. They have a lot of cute stuff. It's a little bit difficult for me to show everything that they have, because it is an adult event, but it's such a fun event. You really should go hang out there. It's really fun to walk through, look at stuff. Me and my friends have walked through there, laughed at the stuff, tried the stuff on. It's really kind of cool in that concept. I really enjoy covering their event, because it's just so fun. The stuff is so niche, and it's been a lot more fun than I even gave credit for before I started covering the event for them. Yeah. All right, you guys, well, take care, and I will go ahead and see you next time. Bye.